Hey, what's going on, everyone? Dominic, the Primetime Treasure Hunter here. In this video, I am going to turn into the Primetime Package Hunter, and I'm going to show you how you can get your packages freed from the USPS Delayed Disaster that is going on all across the country. Most big cities have been affected by this in distribution centers. It's just a crazy backlog. Due to a lot of different factors coming together, COVID is really the main thing that's causing the problem. There's about 14,000 USPS workers that are not working because they are on quarantine. And then you have this massive influx of packages over the holidays. And that's also related to COVID because there's a lot of people who just don't want to go out shopping. And there's a lot of places that are just closed down that you would normally go and shop to. So there's a big backup at USPS. Plus, even earlier during the year, there were all sorts of cuts and slowdowns in processes, and there were, sorting machines taken out. All sorts of things happened that combined to give us the situation that we're in now. But almost even crazier than that is a situation going on within eBay, and a lot of sellers have been affected by this due to eBay's policy, which is really a big problem. And I want to just touch on that before I get into how to get those packages free, because what I'm going to discuss with you here really relates to why you should follow the process that I'm going to lay out to you here. So the problem really with eBay's policy is that they will allow a buyer to get a full refund after a certain amount of time has passed. And then later on, when the package gets delivered to the buyer, there's no way for the seller to get their money back. So you have these crazy situations where people are pretty much getting things for free. Now, you might be able to write something like that off with like a $10 item or something like that. But if there's tons of $10 items, or if they're, big ticket items, this is just a crazy thing and it's inexcusable. So let me show you, actually, I'm going to do a screen share with you, and I'm going to show you the actual part of eBay's policy that came out. This is an update they put out on December 16th. And you can see, actually, let me go back up here. I'm going to show you a better policy in a moment, but this is called Helping Buyers Understand Shipping Delays and What You Need to Do When a Buyer Makes an Item Not Received request. It says a buyer can only open an item not received request after the estimated delivery date plus 1 day. When a request is open, the seller has 3 business days to respond before the buyer can ask eBay to step in. So first of all, let me just stop there. That's already a problem, because the buyer should not even be allowed to open a case unless there's documentation that they have reached out to the seller, because that is how part of this problem happens, is that sellers are not even really getting a chance to work things out with buyers before they open cases. And once a buyer opens a case, that starts the clock, and that's part of the problem. You'll see with the example that I share with you how I wound up working this out was by not even having the buyer get eBay involved in any kind of formal way with a case. So it says, if tracking on the item shows movement within the past 10 calendar days and the parcel is in the destination country, we'll keep the request open for 10 more days from the time the buyer asked eBay to step in to allow additional time for the item to be delivered. Here's the problem. After that time, if there's no updated activity, eBay will consider the item lost and will ask the seller to refund the buyer. That is absolutely crazy, especially when you have knowledge. It's totally, well documented that there are shipping delays that are going on in some distribution centers where packages are sitting there for 4 to 5 weeks or more before they get out. So you can't just, in the middle of a pandemic, during this holiday crush where USPS is understaffed and there's sorting machines taking out all the stuff I mentioned earlier, and just give 10 days before you're going to give buyers a full refund and leave sellers out to dry. That absolutely cannot happen. There needs to be a totally different process, and that can't happen. So this is what I showed earlier, but this is what Poshmark does. And let me give a shout out to Leslie Cooper Willie. We were talking this morning, and she was sending me some text, and she sells on Poshmark, and she sent me this from Poshmark's policy. Check this out. Seller's protection. When your item sells, we send you a prepaid, pre-addressed USPS priority mail shipping label to put on your package. As long as you use the Poshmark provided label and the package is scanned into the USPS tracking system, you will be fully covered by Poshmark should the package get lost in transit by USPS. This even goes for orders over $400. Any orders over $400 will require a signature upon delivery to provide additional protection. That is totally different than this policy. Now, eBay later updated the policy. The last update is on 12/19, and instead of offering this kind of protection that's mentioned here on Poshmark, they just decided to cut out the entire section that talks about when a buyer makes an item not received request. So until they change it and say something that Poshmark says here, this is still the going policy, and that's a big problem. You've got to either fully protect sellers, just like Poshmark is doing, or you need to, like, the worst case scenario, I would say for buyers for sellers that we would accept is, you've got to at least extend that wait time out for much longer than 10 days. I mean, it's got to at least be a month before you start, doing anything considering refunding buyers. And there's got to be a way that if a buyer is refunded and then it later shows that the package was delivered, the buyer received it, that there's some kind of formal mechanism in which the money can then be taken back out of that buyer's account and put into the seller's account, especially now with eBay's managed payment system. There's got to be a way to do it. So I just wanted to make sure all that was out there just to give some background, because again, it plays into what I'm going to tell you now in terms of how to get this your packages back. So now I'm going to give you an example of something that I have been doing through in dealing with Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia, and just make the screen a little bigger, this is one of the worst places in the country. As you can see here, this is what it looked like as of a few days ago. You can see here thousands of delayed packages are piled up at Pennsylvania Postal Service facilities. You're not going to get your Christmas presents is basically what they're saying. I mean, it's crazy. It's so bad in Philadelphia, which is where my package was stuck, that they had to call in the Occupational Health and Safety Administration because stuff was piled up so badly that people could barely even walk without fearing that, pallets were going to come down and crush them. I mean, that's just how bad it was. So I want to give the example of a Philly package getting freed, because if it could get freed from Philly, it could get freed from practically anywhere. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I showed this recently during a What's Sold video last month. These are the Star Hits magazines. And as you might remember, these sold for $235. So this is a perfect example. This is something I invested a bunch of time in terms of laying it out, presenting it, describing it, packing it up and everything like that. And, I would be furious if eBay refunded the buyer $235 and then the next thing you know, a day or two later, the buyer, it shows as delivered, the buyer gets it, and I have no way to get my money back. That just cannot happen. And I can't emphasize that enough. eBay's really got to stand by sellers better with this issue. So I get a message, minding my own business, not bothering anybody. You could see the date right up there, December 8th. And this is the buyer, and he's nice. He says, "Hello, I know there's nothing you can do, but I still have not received this. What a post office." Now, let me just stop here, because this is an instance in which somebody reached out to me in advance before opening a case. So what you may need to do, if you're not doing this already, is if you're really concerned that someone might not reach out to you and just open a case flat out without contacting you first, is to be proactive and contact any buyers in which they have not gotten their items by the delivery date, and let them know that there's a delay and that they should contact you and that you have a formal procedure in place to work this out to get them their package. That would stop them, hopefully, from going to eBay. So then I just responded to the person after checking. I always suggest doing this. Go over and check yourself just to make sure you know what's going on with the tracking. So this is the tracking within eBay. You could see a process through Warrendale, Pennsylvania, which is a big processing center over here. And then it went over to Philly, and it got stuck there in Philly on December 1st, had not moved since that time, according to eBay's tracking. But that gets to the next part I want to tell you. Don't just go by eBay's tracking. Also take the tracking number and go into USPS and just type in the tracking number, do a search. And what you could see here is it gives you a little bit more information, and it says it has more updated info. It says on December 5th that it's in transit to the next facility. That's not the information that I was getting here. So, I didn't know if the buyer had looked at it through eBay or if they looked at it on USPS. And in case they didn't, I wanted to make sure that gave the person an update. So I said, sorry. You always start off by apologizing, even though it's not your fault. Explain what's going on. The post office is a mess right now, more than usual. I did check the tracking outside of eBay at the USPS site, and then I tell them the information that's said there. So as you're going to see here, communication is absolutely essential. That is the core of good customer service for your business. And this is what you need to do. You need to stay in constant communication. You cannot have the philosophy that this is the buyer's problem and let the buyer deal with it. If you do that, you are going to be in for a world of hurt with your buyers and with eBay in terms of feedback and refunds and all sorts of stuff. Communication is essential here. So this person responded back, thank you. And then what I did is I opened up a help request form. And let me actually go back here. You see here, I said on the bottom, if there's no further update by Friday, and I believe this was a Wednesday that I sent this, I will submit a help request with USPS. So I'm letting the person know what the next step is. Don't just leave them hanging. Make sure they know that there's a process in place. So when you go to USPS, and you can just type it in on Google, just type in USPS missing mail search, and it'll bring this up, this page on USPS. And don't try to jump to step 3. You have to complete step 2 first, which is completing a help request. So you just fill out basic information about your package, send it off, and then you will get information that says it's filed. You'll get a service request number. I suggest just letting your buyer know about this. Send them a message, even though they might not do anything with it, but at least it gives them a visual on a number. It makes it feel official. They feel good. Something is happening here. So I let the person know that. I said the box is still marked as in transit, but hasn't moved from the Philly distribution center that I could tell. I don't know where it's going. Rest assured, I will be monitoring this on a daily basis for you. You take the responsibility. You're the seller. You help the buyer out in this situation. Again, let the person know what's going on. I'm sure you're aware that USPS is getting crushed right now in certain areas of the country where boxes are sitting on loading docks without enough trucks coming to pick them up. And then I talk about my own experience with this. I said in the past, in the few instances where a package delay like this has occurred, a help request is usually sufficient to get the package moving. I also said I requested a call back from USPS. You could also ask them to send you an email, by the way, but I like a call, and they've always done so in the past. Now, I also tried, by the way, reaching the Philly distribution center. In normal times, you could call the place where the package is said to be located, and you usually could get someone and make an inquiry there, and that could free up your package. Also, you could call the post office where you sent it from, and sometimes they could do a little bit of research for you. I tried calling the Philly distribution center, and I even tried calling my local post office, And the phone just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. No one picked up. And at my post office, they always pick up. So that just goes to show you how crushed they were right now. So I let them know the mailbox is full at Philly. It's crazy. If the help request is unable to result in the package moving after 7 days, then USPS allows me to file a missing mail request in which they do a more intensive search. So again, letting the person know what the next step is. Now, I want to mention this too, because I have talked about this in a prior video. And when people were asking about what to do in this situation during the pandemic, and we've got winter storms coming, I mentioned what I talked about in a prior video about this process, and someone told me it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. This is a different situation. That process, forget about it. I'm here to tell you that is not the case. Now, there's no solution that's going to fix everything in every single instance. Sometimes there is going to be something that truly is lost, for example. And if it's truly lost forever, then obviously no process is going to get it back. But right now, this is really like the only way to do it. So I said, while I am confident that you will receive your package, I'm not sure when, due to the unprecedented situation we are in. I will be in touch with an update. So I know there's a lot to read, but you've got to communicate with the buyers. This is so essential, and you're comforting them, you're reassuring them, you're letting them know what the next steps are. Why is that so important too? Not just that it's good customer service. With eBay's policy the way it is, and this is why I emphasized that policy earlier, and I started off with that 10 days, your whole goal here, okay, this is key. Your whole goal here is to stall and delay. You need to get as much time as possible on your side. Just one extra day can mean all the difference as to whether your $100 item or $50 item or whatever the price is gets delivered to the person. They wind up getting their package, and you might wind up getting shorted, where they get a full refund because the day prior was still missing. So you want to make sure that every single possible day you get on your side with this. So he writes me back, says, I appreciate your concern. I have 5 packages that I'm waiting for, and they're all like yours. They've been sitting for over a week or two. I guess this year is worse for the post office. Have a happy holiday. Great. So now I was just curious, having heard that, I wanted to know, you could do your own investigation, ask people questions. I said, yes, indeed. Are they all sitting at the Philly distribution center? And the Philly distribution center is 19116. And he said, yes, some are there, and one is at 19114. So now I get this message on December 16th, which says, do you have any idea what this means? I have never seen this before. It says package research case closed. I never got a call back from USPS. Not an email, anything, nothing. And all of a sudden just closed. I couldn't believe it. So I went over to tracking, and here's what I saw. It says package research case created on December 11th, and then they closed it on December 15th without contacting me at all. So now I have no way at all to figure out why it was closed. And what am I supposed to tell the buyer in this situation? And I'm starting to get concerned here at this point that what I was told earlier might be true, that this might not work, because if they're so overwhelmed that they're literally just closing cases without even bothering to look into them, then we got a really bad situation on our hands. So I was just honest with the person. I said, I've never seen them close a package research case without finding the package, but there's no indication that they did yet. So be honest. I know some people who have shown no tracking update. This is key to know. Only to get the item delivered one day. And that happens. All of a sudden, it's just there. I said, we're in unprecedented times, and I know Philly's been crushed. I'm monitoring this situation every day for you, and my plan is to file a missing mail search on Friday, which is the earliest I can do it. And then I let them know it's a 7-day stretch there. Sorry this is happening. I appreciate your patience. Did you get any of your other items from there that have been stuck there? And he says, no problem. And I did receive 2 packages this week. And this is why it's good to ask questions, because, on the On the seller side, there's stress going on our side with this too. We're concerned, and to hear that he actually did get 2 packages made me actually feel a little bit better about the situation, gave me some hope. But he said each of them took 2 weeks for arrive. So eBay, are you listening? 2 weeks is 14 days, not 10 days. Okay, so and sometimes it's going out longer than that. It's going out, like I said, 5 weeks sometimes. So I said that's fast for them now. Sad. I'm curious, were those packages in the same Philly distribution centers? And if so, did they show that they left the facility in tracking, or did they just suddenly arrive? And this is interesting. He said the tracking was updated, plus he had signed up for alerts. So ask your buyers to sign up for alerts that could get them notifications that you as the seller might not get, although you could sign up for alerts too. But that's just another thing to do, is that you could tell your buyers. And they both came from the 116 Postal Center. So great. And here you go. This is one of 2 articles that I actually sent over to the buyer, just to let him know the craziness that was going on in Philly. Like, I wanted the person to know this is not just something I'm making up. Like, there's articles about this. So if you could find something, an actual article from a reliable and valid source, and send a link of that over to the buyer, do that. It could help. And so I sent 2 of those. I also then completed the search request, which you could see there. I did it on Friday, December 18th. I got the search ID and everything. That's that page I was showing you earlier. Just go right there to USPS, and I let the person know I submitted the missing mail search this morning. Hopefully this frees it up. Thank you for your patience, and here's what they sent me. And then the person said, thank you. I appreciate your effort. There's the articles, the emails about the articles that I sent earlier. And the person saying, hey, the article is really in depth. So I guess it will be sometime in January, because that's actually what it said in the article. It said, you're not getting your packages during Christmas. Remember I showed you that quote in the article? It said, it was in the title. It actually said within the article, you're not getting them until January. So that was good too for me, because that set some expectations that bought me further time by sending that person the article. Okay, now then I get this message on December 20th. Good news. I got an email saying the package will be delivered tomorrow. I will let you know when I get it. I was like, wow, this is too good to be true. And there you go. Guess what? The same day he sent me the message, the package was just delivered. That wacky post office. Thanks for all your help. You are a Class A seller. He left positive feedback. He's very happy. There you go. On the search request, says it was delivered 2 days after I opened the search delivery request. And there you can see in the tracking, delivered at the front door right there. It got there. I am so happy. That's the official tracking right there. So, I just wanted to make sure everybody saw that and knows that it is possible. There is a way to get this done. Follow the steps that I mentioned. Make sure that you are buying yourself as much time as possible. Be proactive. Really try, again, like I said earlier, if you're worried that someone might open a case on you, you see it's not getting there, reach out to them in advance and open up communication. And again, there's a lot of work that eBay really needs to do on this front, not only now, but in the future. If things like this happen, they really need to change their policy with this. This cannot continue. So leave your comments down below, both in terms of suggestions, tips, any ideas you have, and your thoughts about what is going on with eBay, how they're handling this situation, and how you would recommend they do so moving forward. So thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to come to the Megathon tomorrow night, 12/23/20. Lots of giveaways. There's going to be auctions. You're going to get a chance to make sales in the live chat. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's an annual 3-hour sales event. It's crazy. If you're watching this in the future, then go back and watch some of it. I'm sure it's going to be a really interesting and fun event. So I'll see you at the next one, everyone. Take care.